Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Samurai Goddess. The Goddess Next Door takes on kung fu killers in this action-packed martial arts Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Samurai Goddess in paperback and e-readers today. Last week's episode of Black Lightning destroyed all credibility that the show had. And how did it destroy all of its credibility in just 3 episodes? It gave a pass to the Black Pastor. Now, when you talk about a show where you have this black superhero who's supposed to be trying to clean up the community, you cannot overlook the role that the Black Pastor played in creating much of the problems in that black community. Now, Black Lightning is supposed to be this superhero, supposed to be trying to clean up his community and rid it of the menace of the Hundred Gang, but you would not have a Hundred Gang without that Black Pastor. The Black Pastor is the foundation for much of the dysfunction in black communities, and he works hand in hand with the Democratic Party towards creating this dysfunction and this chaos. And for this show to give the Black Pastor a pass was completely egregious, and it showed how completely out of touch Greg Berlanti is, and moreover, it showed how completely out of touch Mara Brock Akil and Salim Akil were regarding the issues of the black community. Because this black pastor is the one who condones much of the dysfunction in the black community, and he condones and supports much of the dysfunction in the black community because he, by supporting black females in their dysfunction, in their chaos, he profits overall from it, from all the tithes that he gets from most of those black women. So the black pastor, the Democratic Party, and black women all work hand in hand in creating what many call Blackistan. But you have this Black Lightning show where the pastor is given a complete pass for his role. He's supposed to be leading this march for everybody to stand up against this hundred, and they present him as some sort of good guy. And again, that destroyed all their credibility. Now, when I compare your Black Lightning to Luke Cage got it right. Your Luke Cage understood who the three players in exploiting the black community were and understood who was the real threat to the black community. Now, they showed us the threat with your Mariah, who was a Democratic city council person. They had your Cottonmouth, who was running a club and running most of the crime through his club. And you also had your Diamondback, who was what? The son of a black pastor, because Luke Cage and Diamondback in the show were supposed to be brothers, but their father was a black pastor. So the people who made Luke Cage, the black production company that made that show, understood who were the unholy trinity doing most of the damage in the black community. They understood that the Democratic Party, the black pastor, and the black female were responsible for most of the dysfunction that goes on in your black community. Most of the crime, most of the drugs, and most of the chaos came from those three groups. But your Black Lightning did not understand this. No, one, they gave the black pastor a pass, and two, they elevated a black female over who was supposed to be the villain, Tobias Whale, and made her the serious threat overall. And that destroyed all of the credibility for that show. So we look at this show, and if you cannot place the black pastor as one of the core villains in a show that's talking about the black community, you have no credibility whatsoever, because the black pastor is the historical Judas, he's the historical Brutus, he is the spy that the slave master used to watch over the black community, and he was the agent who promoted religion and not a relationship with God. And he used religion to control the black females in the community and even use them to get into their bed and their purses. So you cannot give this black pastor a pass, because this black pastor is a major villain and is a major scourge in black communities. You just cannot give the black pastor a pass and say that he's on the side of good when he has never been on the side of good. He has always perpetrated a fraud in black communities. He has always had a hand in destroying the moral position of black communities. He has always enabled dysfunction in black women, and he has always had a hand that was always dirty, because here is a guy who was supposed to be following the high standard of God, yet he always does stuff that is completely immoral, and he does not hold himself to the same high standard of God that he professes. Instead, he lowers the standard for everyone, and he enables black females to have excuses to get away with all sorts of irresponsible, reckless, and egregious behaviors. And what's really egregious was that, again, Black Lightning as a show never acknowledged the historical threat of the black pastor, never acknowledged how the black pastor is a major co-conspirator in the destruction of the black community. This show just tells us, oh, it's the 100 that's the problem, but the 100 would have never formed had there not been a black pastor who gave a pass to many of these liberals who created the policies for the welfare state in that area, or enabled most of the black women by making excuses for their behavior and not calling it out by making statements regarding the Bible that they read, which says they are supposed to submit themselves unto their husbands, and that they are supposed to be in the role of the helpmeet and support, and that they are completely out of order. So I look at that in this adaptation, and I said, you know, you cannot give this black pastor a pass, but they gave him a pass, and that destroyed all of the credibility of this superhero show to show us a guy who cleaning up his community. Because if you want to really clean up a black community, you have to confront the real enemies, which are these white liberal policies which created the welfare state. You have to confront this black female who has the low moral position, and you have to confront this black pastor who promotes immorality in his pulpit as a social norm. That's how you make a credible fantasy series that presents the issues and presents a serious commentary as related to cleaning up a black community. Because if you don't deal with those, you have no efforts towards cleaning up a community or rebuilding black families in a way that is functional. Because these all just fighting a gang, which is just not strong enough, as I always saw it, as a story. And when you have a character who does not understand his mission, you have a series that will have no direction. And when I look at Black Lightning right now, it doesn't have much of a direction outside of pushing the narratives that Greg Berlanti wants to be pushed, and which is masculizing the black female, emasculating the male, and a completely clueless hero who has no idea who he's saving or what he wants to save, because he doesn't understand his enemy, nor does he understand their threat. And if you don't understand your enemy, then you cannot plan a mission to overcome the bad guy or face the obstacles that are the greatest and serious threat. And when I look at Black Lightning, the foundation, again, where they give the black pastor a pass, was a nail in the coffin for this show. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to try some of my SJS Direct titles, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, The Temptation of John Haynes, and the Spinsterella trilogy, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.